All right, I'm now recording. Thank you guys for dropping in. I'm going to do a patch analysis or first impressions video of the new 6.87. I've been at work all day. I've seen a couple tweets about what's been going on. I haven't read anything. So you guys are going to see this for the first time, and I'm going to be seeing this for the first time. Um, so I'll just start off at the top. General updates, they reworked ranked all pick, and so now before the picking phase, there's going to be a 15-second voting phase to ban heroes. So each player is going to get to vote for a different hero. Afterwards, half of the heroes that were voted on will be randomly selected and banned. Two players can't vote for the same hero. The game displays heroes as they're voted on, but not who voted. That's a little odd. The number of bans is equal to half the total number of votes. If there's an odd number of votes, the number of bans is randomly rounded up or down. So it's kind of like a random toss-up on whether or not, like, if you really don't want to play against a certain hero, or if there's this particular hero that's cancer and you don't want him in the game, then there's a chance that that hero isn't in the game. So that's kind of nice. It kind of helps to in a way prevent hero spamming, or if somebody's just really been having a day against a certain hero, uh, it kind of increases the chances that they maybe won't have to play against that hero for at least one match. So each team now has a scan ability available on the minimap UI. Scans a targeted 900 AoE for 8 seconds. Indicates whether there are enemy heroes in that area during the 8 seconds. Starts on cooldown and has a global team-wide cooldown of 4.5 minutes. Does not consider units inside the Roshan pit, but does consider smoked units. Does not show how many heroes there are, just if there are any enemies. Enemies do not know when your team casts it. So we're Terran now. We're StarCraft, boys. This is kind of cool and also kind of weird. I don't know if there's like a League of Legends does this, or maybe Heroes of the Storm does something like. I think Heroes of the Storm does something like this, which is kind of the direction Dota's moving in, which I don't like. But I mean, it's kind of cool. It excludes the Roche pit so that, the team can't save it and be like, oh, they're in the Roche pit, instead of using like Sunstrike or have to have some type of vision. But it does kind of, I don't know. I don't like it. I think that it kind of removes some of the skill from the game of having to look at your mini-map and discern where you think the other team is going to be if they're making a smoke gank, if you don't have the vision. This is just kind of like an uh-oh button. It's going to save your ass on occasion. We'll see how it works out. I think it'll be dumb as shit in pub games. I think people will abuse it, or not really abuse it, but like use it when they're not supposed to. Go ahead and hide those. Starting HP increased from 180 to 200, so this is just gonna make everybody a little bit tougher to start with. So I guess that's a nerf to maybe, or maybe it's kind of like maybe you can bring back the early game Roche. This is kind of a buff to strength heroes as well, because right underneath, your hit points per strength is increased by 1. They're increasing hero base mana. Mana per intelligence reduced from 13 to 12, so that's like kind of like a nerf to some of the int stealing heroes, kind of like OD and kind of, and then high mana pool heroes, kind of. You're losing 1 less mana now from OD stuff. Intelligence now increases your spell damage by 1% per 16 intelligence points, and that's almost like a buff, a straight up turnaround buff to OD, especially if Arcane Orb counts as spell damage. I think it's pure damage. It's still a spell. Intelligence gives roughly 6% bonus. Same rules for what is affected as Aether Lens spell amplification. This is a buff to all spell heroes, Ogre, Magi, Lena, like, holy fuck. Like, you just stack as much intelligence as you can on certain heroes. Like, this is super helpful to, like, core Lena, and it's going to help those people, like, scale into the late game by building intelligence items, because oftentimes you have those set damage bits. You have set damage output by a certain spell, and then eventually at a certain point in the game, it's not doing nearly as much because everybody's so tanky. So this will kind of allow you to scale up. Stats hover on your hero now shows your total spell amplification, including Aether Lens. Okay, cool. Lane creep health upgrade increase from 10 to 12. Oh, okay, so it goes up by 12 every 7.5 minutes. Tier 2 towers damage now the same as Tier 3. Towers now grant an armor aura to allied heroes. Tier 1 grants 1, Tier 2, 3, and 4 grant 3. So this is kind of like a nerf to pushing strats. I guess they're trying to extend the game, maybe. Not sure. Ooh, whoa! The initial bounty rune no longer gives experience, so now it's a support thing, I guess. Maybe. Actually, people are still gonna fight over it. Just because that initial, knowing that you can get the initial gold from it, it gives your mid a better, like a step towards its bottle. But now I guess you can kind of choose who you want it to go on, since it's not going to give experience. You could give it to a support, or I don't know. Tower true sight range has been reduced. So even though you're going to get the armor and more damage from further back towers, I guess. Okay, so it can't see anything beyond what it can hit. That seems logical. Melee hero attack range increased from 128 to 150. Lane creep aggro duration increased from 2 to 2.5. I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference or not. I'm going to do another video after I've looked at all of these different things. Lane creep aggro cooldown increased from 2 to 2.5. Is there cooldown on, like, if the creeps will aggro to you again? So, like, if you de-aggro, will they not immediately re-aggro? They're reducing the amount of gold for creeps again. But they are worth more as time goes on, kind of. And they reduce the experience, range creep experience increase. I don't know how that's going to work out in lane. I'll have to watch a couple games of 6.87 before I can really get more on that. It kind of feels like they're trying to start forcing team fights. That's kind of what it looks like. They're trying to push people into team fighting early, or be. I mean, I still think people will team fight, but maybe not. Maybe they're trying to make the laning stage last a little longer. I mean, but if you want the big money to gain a bigger lead, I guess this is kind of evening stuff out. I'm not I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I'm not great at on-the-fly math or experience either, but it kind of feels like maybe they're trying to do this to make the laning stages last a little longer. So maybe it takes a little bit longer to build up a big lead, depending on what they do with like rubber banding, because you've got the melee and ranged creep gold bounty has been upgraded over time, so it kind of maybe it's easier to make a comeback. They're trying to prevent people from turtling, maybe, not sure, or maybe this helps the turtling if it's going to upgrade over time and you're going to get more gold from these creep. Let's see. Experience required to get to level 8 and 9 rescaled from 600 to 1200 to 800 to 1000. So I guess it's easier now to get to your higher levels. I'm not sure how that balances out with this. Possibly evens all out, or there's some small change that I just can't see right now. Ethereal now blocks in-flight attack projectiles fully rather than just ones launched before Ethereal. Okay, so that's almost like a bug patch up. Evasion now uses pseudo-random distribution, and evasion is now calculated on impact rather than on launch. That's interesting. I think that's a nerf to agility heroes. I could be wrong, but that seems like a pretty nerf to agility heroes based on like well, if it's 30%, I don't know how their pseudo random distribution mechanics work, because I know that axe, spin, and I want to say Spirit Breaker, bash are pseudo random. In my next video, I'll come back with a better answer on these two. This seems like it should do a lot. It could be completely insignificant. I'm not entirely sure. But calculating on impact rather than on launch, I'm not entirely sure how the damage is calculated. So I'll get back to that. The Centaur Courser health has been reduced. Okay, so it's easier to farm jungle camps. Its armor has been reduced by 1. A large Centaur camp now spawns 2 Centaur Coursers instead of 1. Oh, that's cool. A little bit more gold from that, and it's a little bit easier to kill them. Roshan's magic resistance has been reduced. His HP has been increased. And his bounty has changed. Okay, so it's kind of punishing early Roshan's and they want Roshan to sort of be more of a late game thing. They want teams to fight over it in the late game when both teams can contest. And it's harder to amass a lead, it looks like. Double damage and haste no longer have special rules for being dispelled by spell immunity. Did double damage not work when you had like a BKB or something? Somebody leave that one in the comments. I'm sure somebody knows that and I don't, or I'm not entirely sure what that one means. The following buffs are now purgeable: Nightmare, Spawn Spiderlings, Malefice, Cold Snap, Corrosive Skin, and Leap. Movement speed buff. So, are they all movement speed buffs? Because it says buffs, and I know that Cold Snap isn't necessarily a buff. Snapped. that's what it means. I'm trying to. Corrosive skin is. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up really fast. Viper. It says buffs. Do they mean debuffs? I guess that's what they mean. Minor adjustments to cast range mechanics to reduce overly long cast ranges when the target is moving quickly. Okay, that's good. I like that. I don't like feeling like I could get away from Centaur Double Edge and then it hits me way beyond the range. That just fucking sucks. Minor adjustments to cast range mechanics. Oh, I just read fuck. Illusions now benefit from damage block. Okay, so that's kind of a buff to illusion heroes. Captain's mode pick time from 40 to 30 seconds. Bonus time from 110 to 130. Adjusted the order of bands in the second band phase from first second to. So does that mean whoever didn't get first pick gets first ban? Adjusted the order of picks in the final pick phase. Okay, so instead of after, like in the second ban phase, instead of getting that last pick and then being able to turn around and ban something, it kind of gives the other team the ability to respond. And then I guess the ban and pick 3 phase there kind of helps one to get, because they got the last ban, so this could help them kind of maybe get a surprise pick based on what 2 bans. Removed strong armor type. Oh fuck, holy shit. Removed strong armor type and moved affected units to soft type, which is now renamed to basic type. So Roshan now has hero armor. I don't have my notebook. Dark Troll Summoner attack type from Pierce to hero. Thunderhead attack type from basic to hero. Dark Troll Summoner damage reduced. Thunderhead reduced. Mana pool reduced. Satyr Tormentor mana pool reduced. So okay, Roche's armor went up. And I think it's gonna be kind of harder to do certain jungle camps. Like if the Dark Troll Summoner, I think if it does hero damage, I think that's gonna do more damage than pierce damage would, or maybe less. Somebody out there who knows that can put it in the comments. I'm pretty sure that makes it harder to do those particular camps, but they reduce the damage, so could just be for new. Oh shit, we're moving the terrain. Adjusted the position of the bottom radiant tier 2 tower and nearby trees. I have no idea what that fucking means. Pictures? There's not pictures. Moved the ramp between the Dire secret shop and the Ancients further back and made it narrower. Okay. Increase the width of the ramp behind the Radiant bottom tier 2 tower. Okay. Added a new ramp to the left of the bottom Dire tier 1 tower. Interesting. Added a new ward spot in the middle of the Dire jungle. Adjusted the spawn box of the rightmost Radiant hard camp near the safe lane. Hopefully they fucking made it smaller because it's so easy to block that camp. That'd be nice. And because you gain a lot of vision by putting it in the bottom right corner of that. Tier 3 towers and racks moved very slightly back away from the ramp. Adjusted the juke path in the clump of trees to the left of the Dire tier 1 mid tower in the area closest to the ramp. Added a small hiding spot in the trees to the top left of the Radiant medium camp near middle. Okay. Slightly reduced the spawn box of the Dire offlane neutrals. Added a new paths to the trees on the left. Top Radiant tier 1 tower. Added pathable areas in the trees below the bottom tier 2 Radiant tower. That's pretty sweet. Spaced out Radiant tier 4 tower slightly. Added a small hiding spot to the trees above the bottom Radiant tier 2 tower. That could be useful for ganks. Moved Radiant mid creep spawn point back a little bit. Removed the tree on the Dire cliff right above the top rune. That's kind of nice. Butchooks. Added 2 extra trees in the Radiant middle lane to the upper right of the tier 1 tower. I don't know if that makes ganks easier or harder. It's going to affect a little bit of fog. Rearranged a clump of trees below the far right Radiant hard camp to modify visibility lines for heroes nearby. Okay, so maybe making the camp smaller. Well, hopefully they won't be able to block it and still gain the crazy, ridiculous amount of vision that they can now, because that's such a good ward spot. Added a new hiding spot to the right of the Dire small camp. Fixed Radiant offlane neutral camp units not always being visible with line of sight in front of them. Thank you. Oh shit, we got new items? Oh man. Oh, confused raindrops. Oh, fuck, we got a bunch of new items. Okay. The first new item is Bloodthorn. It is formed from an orchid, a chrysalis, and a recipe. Okay, so they're trying to make you more late game compatible, I guess. I don't know. Windranger builds orchid and chrysalis. An orchid, a chrysalis, and a recipe. It provides 25 intelligence, 30 attack speed, and 60 damage. 150 mana regen. All attacks on the silenced target, including from allies, gain True Strike, and a 1.35. Oh, wow. That's like... That's really good. Like, it's a lot of money, but the ability to build that item and get True Strike and crits on a silenced target, like, it gives you some attack speed and some damage, but it's best on like an in hero. So like maybe I could build it as maybe a silencer. It's just such a cool upgrade to Orchid. I really like that. I think that's fucking sweet. Echo Saber is a new item formed from an Oblivion Staff and an Ogre Club, so it's not that expensive. It gives you 10 strength, 10 intelligence, and 10 attack speed, and 15 damage, and 75 mana regen. Causes melee attacks to attack twice in quick succession. Your double attack applies a 0.6 second 100% movement speed and attack speed slow, and has a 5-second cooldown. So this passive only works on melee heroes. It's kind of cheap, which kind of makes me think that it's like a support item or maybe an early game item. It's got pretty good stats. I like it for maybe Now, the first thing that comes to mind is like with an Earthshaker. If you enchant Totem, that's a melee attack. It's a modifier to your melee attack. Does the modifier get a double attack? Because if so, that's fucking busted. I really want to try that. I'm gonna try that at the end of this video and see if that is the case. Even still, the double attack applying the like the mini stun essentially is kind of nice. It does have a 5-second cooldown, but again, if it works with like Earthshaker or something like that, that's stupid. Blight Stone. It costs 300 gold. It reduces armor by 2 on attack, and it is available in the side shop. It is now used in Desolator and Medallion. Being able to reduce armor by 2 on attack is pretty sweet, especially for the cost of 300 gold. I think this is going to be a must-have on supports. It really hurts, agility heroes in the early game. I really like the way that this item sounds. It sounds though, I don't know if there's, I guess it's, does it stack? That's what I want to know. Or does it just reduce their armor by 2? Or does it keep reducing it by 2? My instinct says it continues to reduce by 2. If so, I would buy this first and use it to help gank. Like, let's see, my gold at the start. I could buy this and an Orb of Venom on somebody like Tusk or I don't know, or Venomancer maybe, and just start wreaking havoc. Or Bounty Hunter. Holy fuck. Man, that'd be awesome. Get Janata and an orb and this. New consumable is infused raindrops, and so you get a little bit of mana regen. It costs 225. It comes with 5 charges. The item is destroyed when it reaches 0 charges. When you receive over 50 magic damage, it procs, consuming a charge and blocking 120 magic damage. The proc has a 4-second cooldown. Okay, so it becomes available for purchase at the 3-minute mark. I can see this being useful in lane against like Zeus. We'll see. It's interesting. If it's not available for the 3-minute mark, I don't really see a huge point. It could kind of keep you alive in clutch situations. If it's transferable, that could be kind of cool. Windlace. Don't know what this is. It provides 20 movement speed. It's available in the side shop. It's now used in drums and yules. Okay, so it just gives you movement speed. I don't... Consumed? I don't think it's a new consumable. It just says new items. So maybe this is like... I'm a poor support who needs to buy other shit and boots, and I get my plus 20 movement speed. I don't know. It kind of seems like a useless item. Maybe if you're building drums, you build it and you get a movement speed bonus so that you can kind of take advantage of that in the early game. That's like the only thing I can think of. Tome of Knowledge is a new consumable. Starts out of stock and increments stock every 10 minutes. So is this a way... It costs 150 gold. So at the 10-minute mark, it grants you... Granted, it gives you 425 experience. But say like you stockpile this in a ridiculously long game. Is this like a way for you to maybe help level one of your supports or something like that? Or maybe it's like... Oh, he's so close to level whatever, buy the Tome of Knowledge, and then boom, you get that 425 XP. You get the level, and then you have your like level 16 ultimate or something for the fight or something, I guess. Okay, Hurricane Pike. It is from Force Staff, Dragonlance, and a recipe. So it gives you 20 agility, 15 strength, and 10 intelligence. So pretty good stats. Really good stats on the agility. Plus 4 HP regeneration, and then the attack range. When used on an enemy, it pushes you both away from each other, 450 units each, and allows you to attack that target without range restrictions for 4 attacks for a maximum of 5 seconds. Does not give vision over the enemy. Works normally like Force Staff when used on self or allies. So if they're really close, does not give vision. Okay, it doesn't give vision over the enemy. I was gonna say, so like if they're about to like disappear, can you like Force Staff them or Hurricane Pike them and get the kills? It's kind of interesting that you can attack them for 5 seconds without range restrictions. Obviously not a melee hero, but excuse me. That's kind of cool that it's going to push you away from each other for 900 essentially. I could see this being useful for like, but I don't really think about people who are going to build a Dragonlance. Okay, so Sniper is the best person that I can think of probably for this. Is you've got your Dragonlance to increase your range, build a Force Staff, turn it into a Hurricane Pike, and then if somebody's coming at you or if somebody jumps on you and they don't have some type of disable, you can push them away from you and then you get to attack them, which could help keep them from getting you. Or maybe a Spirit Breaker charge, maybe. It's hard to say. Viper could be a good one as well. Okay, so we're making some changes to items. Bash damage reduced from 120 to 85. That's pretty big nerf to Skull Basher, and the recipe cost has been reduced, so that's not the worst. Now requires Basher of Vanguard and a 1550 recipe. Previously provided 10 strength and 70 damage. Now provides 10 strength, 10 damage, 250 health, and plus 15 regen, and then it's the block. Kind of forcing people to build Vanguard. I'm kind of worried that they're trying to force like a tank into Dota and have like a person who's literally just built to soak up damage. Overwhelm mana cost from 150 to 75. Overwhelm cooldown from 60 to 35, and the bash damage again reduced. Assuming Overwhelm is stun, otherwise it is shitty. Okay, so you get 10 armor with the armlet toggled on. That's pretty cool. Aether Lens spell amplification reduced to 5%. Saw that coming. Respawn timer reduced on the Animal Courier by 20 seconds, which is kind of nice. Flow, never mind. Flying Courier still 180. Let's see. Blade Mail now returns damage before any kind of reduction and returns it in the same type as it was received. That's pretty sweet. And it no longer ignores spell immune enemies. Okay, so if they attack you with magic damage, but it's like if OD turns on BKB and starts whacking on you with an Arcane Orb, that's pure damage, and that's going right back to him. That's pretty sweet. Buffed Blade Mail. Initial charges increase from 8 to 12. Holy shit. Bloodstone Heroes. Congratulations. Butterfly Flutter cooldown has been reduced from 35 to 25. Crimson Guard cooldown reduced from 60 to 50, and the HP regen is increased by 2. Okay, so it has something to do with the change to Vanguard. Now requires the Blightstone for Deso. Purge cooldown is increased from 0 to 2. Mana burned by melee ranged illusions reduced. Mana burned by melee ranged heroes is increased. Okay, so it's kind of not as good on. It's better when you're attacking with your hero than it's way worse when you're attacking with an illusion. Dragonlance now requires an Ogre Club and 2 bands of Elven Skin instead of the Ogre Club and the Quarterstaff. So now it provides 15 strength and 15 agility and an 130 attack range instead of the additional attack speed. This kind of makes this a better item for core heroes now because of the stats. Changing out that damage and attack speed for an extra 5 points in strength and then 15 agility. That's pretty good. Now requires a Windlace instead of the Sage's Mask for the duels. Flying Courier cost has been reduced, yay. True Sight Radius has been reduced on the gem. Ghost Form cooldown has been reduced. Mana cost reduced for the Glimmer Cape, that's kind of nice. Guardian Grape's recipe gone up by 50 gold. The Heart. Strength bonus has gone up to 45, so 5 more points in strength. Gonna give this a little bit, it's a bit of a buff. And then the health bonus. Oh, well, the health bonus has been reduced, so kind of evens itself out. Heaven's Helper Disarm has increased by a full second. Hood of Defiance removed 1 ring of regen from the hood. Okay. Recipe has been reduced by Lincoln Sphere, or on Lincoln Sphere by 325. Lotus Orb now requires an energy booster instead of a recipe. HP regen increased from 5 to 6. Active damage amp has increased on Mask of Madness. Medallion requires a Blightstone. Okay. Golden Experience has been rescaled. So you get less for killing wards. Sort of. You get more gold and less experience. Duration reduced from 7 to 6 minutes. Meh. Interval restock has been reduced. That's nice. And the cost has been reduced. Yay! No longer provides HP regen on the Octarine, and then the mana regen has been reduced to 50%. I guess with that buff to Bloodstone, they wouldn't want somebody abusing Leshrac. Perseverance HP regen has been increased. Barrier stack limit. Does that mean you could have like multiple pipes or? Point booster health bonus reduced from 200 to 175 and mana bonus increased from 150 to 175. That's not as great because I find myself buying point booster. I mean, that's kind of cool for like maybe like Ogre Magi who uses a fair amount of mana, especially with his Ignite. Or whatever his W is. I'm pretty sure it's and then but I like it when I'm buying an Ags on like somebody that's squishy like AA. It gives me kind of like enough health to survive. Refresher HP regen reduced from 10 to 12. Ring of Aquila armor's been reduced from 3 to 2, and the damage is increased from 9 to 10 overall. Kind of a nerf to the ring there, and it's coming from the ring of Basilius. Still good for pushing, not as good maybe on your agility heroes in the beginning, or regen has been increased on the Ring of Health. Cost of Ring of Regen has been reduced. Rod of Atos removed chance to true strike the target. Maim chance has increased, which is good. The slow has been reduced. Same changes affect S and Y. Shadow Amulet cost has gone down. Oh, Silver Edge now requires Shadowblade and Ultimate Orb instead of Shadowblade and Sange and a recipe, and it can be disassembled now. So It now gives you, ooh, plus 15 all stats. That's kind of cool. It kind of gives you, more of a reason to upgrade to Silver Edge, rather than for the, the Silver Edge active ability, the passive, the backstab. Um, but it's not like, oh, this is gonna give me maim and some HP. Now it's gonna give you all stats, so it's kind of better for everybody now. Smoke of Deceit, stock replenish time reduced from 12 to 11 minutes, and no longer has a cooldown attached to your hero when used. Sweet. No longer provides HP regen. And a regen has been reduced. That kind of sucks. I wonder if those changes will manifest themselves in Bloodstone. They didn't. Talisman cost reduced. Town portal scroll going down even more. 50 gold. Alright. The Veil now requires a Helm of Iron Will, 2 Null Talismans, and a 400 recipe. Armor Aura has been reduced on Vlad's from 5 to 4 because of the changes to the ring. Oh god, and we're not even to heroes. This is just such a big patch. Abaddon, Curse of Avernus slow increased. Ancient Apparition, Cold Feet cooldown reduced. Few seconds, Cold Feet damage timing change. Okay, so the damage applies just a little bit later than it would have. Arc Warden, holy fuck. Flux no longer slows magic immune units. Flux is now purgeable. Flux slow has been reduced, and now it scales up to 50. Magnetic Field cooldown has been reduced. Its duration has been increased. Magnetic Field now only evades attacks done from outside of the field. That fucking sucks. Spark Wraith mana cost has been reduced to constant 80. Its activation delay has been reduced. That's nice. It now applies a Purge. Spark Wraith damage rescaled so that it's a little bit weaker. Tempest Double no longer has an HP mana cost. Item cooldowns now persist on the unit. Tempest Double no longer replicates items that drop on death. Oh god, that would fucking suck. Tempest cooldown reduced. Tempest Double cooldown reduced. Tempest Double duration reduced. Cast point increase, strength grow increase. So it kind of makes Arc Warden a little bit more of a powerful hero. Well, it buffs the regular Arc Warden and kind of takes away from the Tempest Double. Kind of fixed a bug there, but if excuse me, if cooldowns persist on the unit, I wonder if that means you can't like double Midas and things like that. Sucks. Counter Helix damage type from physical to pure. Damn. And then the damage obviously has been reduced by a fair amount because of the change. Feeble getting a little bit of a buff there. Mana cost is solid 95. Scepter to Bloodseeker. No. We're focusing on Beastmaster. Call of the Wild Hawk's day vision has been reduced, and then his night vision has been reduced. So, trying to get rid of offlane Beastmaster, it would seem, maybe, or just make him a little bit weaker. He's such a good offlaner. Rupture cast point is improved. Strength growth is increased on Bloodseeker. They added a Scepter. Okay, it grants 2 charges to Rupture with a 40-second replenish. Fuck. That seems awful. So now Bloodseeker's Scepter kind of becomes worth it to help him scale later if you could rupture 2 people in a team fight. Shadow Walk's mana has increased, kind of a slight nerf to early game bounty. Placed Earth Brewing's Pulverize with Demolish, which deals 150% bonus damage to buildings. Okay. They changed the Spirit's damage from Pierce to Hero, the armor type from Strong to Hero. I think that's a nerf. Their attack damage has been reduced, damage rescaled on the Fire one, and then the Walkback backstab damage has increased. So they kind of reworked Brewmaster's ultimate there a little bit. It's gonna do, excuse me, kind of a little bit less for a team fight. It's just not as strong of a presence in a team fight. I just don't completely understand that. Bristleback's damage threshold has been reduced from 230 to 210. Scepter goo range has been increased. Kind of a buff to Bristleback there. Double edge cooldown has been reduced, and the stampede duration is increased by about 0.15 seconds. Hand of God no longer fully heals Chen creeps. Excuse me. So, nerf to Chen there. Battery assault damage has increased. Minor cleanup to power cogs, pushback distance duration. Okay, so that's really slight. Crystal Nova's cooldown has been reduced and it scales down. That's kind of nice. Arcane Aura level 4 self regen increased from 6 to 8. Okay. Poison Touch range has increased from 600 and it's going to scale upward. That's kind of nice. That helps Dazzle give a little bit of chase. Spirit Siphon no longer grants vision. Thank you. Spirit Siphon damage type from pure to magical and no longer goes through spell immunity. Thank you. Spirit Siphon damage increased. I can live with it because they did the other stuff to it, and the duration is increased, and the buffer range has been reduced, and Death Prophet's base strength has been reduced a little. Okay. So kind of trying to get rid of the Death Prophet who just follows you around and sucks you off the whole time. Fuck that. Disruptor, kinetic field AoE has been increased by a little bit. That's kind of nice. It's gonna, I guess it's gonna make it a little bit easier to hit those kinetic fields. And then Dragonite, breathe fire attack damage reduction has increased to just a solid 35% across the board. That's pretty big. His cooldown has been rescaled, but that's kind of big for mid lane Dragonite, and then his base damage has been increased by 4. So maybe this will help Dragonite kind of get back into the mid lane a little bit more. It kind of looks like, based on the Brewmaster buff and some certain things, that maybe in order to offset the buffs that they gave to the towers, they're going to make pushing a little bit better. So we'll see if Dragonite sees a little bit of a rebirth. Gust cast point has been improved. Boulder Smash knockback speed reduced. Cool. Excuse me. Base movement speed has been reduced on Earth Spirit. Shit. 295. He's a slow motherfucker. They rework Scepter on Earthshaker. Enchant Totem becomes a 900 range ground target ability. Causes you to jump in the air and land at the target spot, casting Enchant Totem there. Self-casting the ability will make it behave in the original form without jumping. So, does that enable him to do, like, his Enchant Totem in a 900 AoE? Because if so, he just became so much better. Like, Gotta prime up the Earthshaker before TI. Okay, Echo Stomp damage has increased, and Echo Stomp grace period for waking up units with damage. Impetus damage has been reduced just by a little bit, and then the max distance has been reduced. No shocker there. Oh god. Enigma, fixed demonic conversion not working on Beastmaster's Boarhawk. Okay, sweet. That's good. What the fuck just happened? I think computer. Let's see. Time Walk, cast range, increased from 625 to 675. Cast point is increased. Time dilation, cooldown increased from a scale. Oh god. That is quite a big cooldown. And then the slow has been rescaled to a solid 8. And then Time Lock no longer deals double damage inside Chronosphere. I don't know why they're doing this to Void. I like Void. Time Lock damage is increased a little bit to offset the double damage inside Chronosphere, so I guess he gets a little bit better at just, not inside his Chronosphere. And Scepter no longer increases Chronosphere duration. So wait, what does it do then? Just reduce the cooldown? Scepter no longer has become worth it, so maybe you'll find a new item to rush on Void. Maybe Void will be one of the people who picks up the Blood Rose Orchid thing. Chrysalis Orchid thing. They reworked the Scepter on Gyro and reduced his base damage. Adds a Side Gunner. Fires an attack automatically at random units within a 600 AoE every 1.4 seconds. Weird. That's weird. I don't know if I like that. That seems kind of shitty. Like, is it gonna like proc like enemy creeps and shit? Like, what if you're running through the jungle with an Ags and it's just like boom? I mean, yeah, you have to be pretty close to him, but still. Berserker's Blood max attack speed has increased by a lot. Invoked spells cast point increased. Cold Snap is now despellable. Okay. That's what that meant earlier. I like that. Wow, they nerfed the shit out of Tornado's vision. Forge Spirit, health and mana changed from Exort Quas based to Quas Exort based. Okay, that makes sense. Base intelligence has been reduced. Damn, by a lot. So maybe we won't see as much of Invoker. It's going to be a pretty big hit to his damage output. I mean, granted, he can... Or maybe we'll just see more Quas Exort. Now that I think about it, we see a lot of Quas Exort already. I haven't seen a lot of Quas Wax, so... Pardon the train. Macropyre distance is increased. It's fucking huge. It's no longer unit targetable, and the duration is increased by 10 whole seconds. Jesus. Healing Ward now follows Juggernaut by default, so I guess... yeah, so you can tell it to go elsewhere, but it's going to follow you by default, which is nice. Movement speed's been increased on Coddle. I think that I'm yawning because I'm trying to get through this patch and I'm not actually breathing. Torrent damage is now dealt evenly over 8 ticks. So apparently half the damage was dealt at the start and the other half was dealt evenly over 10 ticks. Weird. The stun duration on Torrent is increased, its mana cost has been reduced, and base armor for Kunkka has been increased. So maybe we see a little bit more Kunkka. He's just slightly more viable now. I don't really think this changes too much. Sure, having the 90 cost Torrent again is kind of nice, but I don't know if that's enough to propel him back into the game. Duel no longer ignores disarm and ethereal states on either target. Cool. Dual Scepter duration has been increased. Frost Blast and Chain Frost slows are now independent debuffs. Wow. That is some serious slow. And then Chain Frost is no longer going to jump to undying zombies, which is nice. You can no longer just get fast level 6 and infest on Lifestealer. Good on them. Strength growth has increased on Lifestealer. Spirit Bear's Entangle now uses pseudo-random distribution. And the Battle Cry damage has been reduced, which is nice. Not by a whole lot, but
Agility growth on Luna. I could see more size agility growth. Maybe, probably not enough. We'll have to see where the other heroes lie. Base HP regen increased. Magnus 0.25 to 0.75. Huge. And then the base damage has been increased. A lot of small changes. Which is going to create a meta that's not readily available to me here on the surface. We've still got a little bit to go here. Stone Gaze damage amp increased. Duration rescaled and slow reduced. So Medusa's not as good. Well, rather, it's going to last a little bit longer in the later levels. She's not going to slow as much, but she's going to be dealing the maximum amount of damage that she can. So I guess it's just not drawing out the process as much. Nepo's base damage has been increased by 4. Ooh, Scepter to Mirana. Passively triggers Starstorm every 8 seconds. If there are no units to affect, the spell waits until there is a nearby enemy. Does not trigger if the enemy does not see you. Passive procs are disabled by break. It didn't say anything about invisible units, though. So, like, could that pop if, like, Riki was around? Morphling, replicate damage dealt increased. Damn! Replicant's gonna do some serious damage. Hybrid cooldown reduced from 170. Okay. Excuse me. Maybe see a little bit more morphling. That'd be nice. Mirror image illusion damage increase from 20, 25, 30, 35 to 25, 30, 35, 40. Scepter regen rates increased to 10%. Now affects Golem. 3-ounce bounties have been increased, and then their vision is. So that's kind of a nerf to Prophet. Reaper Scythe respawn time penalty has been reduced and now scales, and the damage factor has increased. Nerf to Necro. Degen Aura no longer pierces spell immunity. Probably a good call. Spike Carapace not preventing damage when a spell. HP regen increased from 2.5. Added Scepter to Oracle reduces. Fuck. Oh man. Scepter on Oracle seems sweet. Arcane Orb Intelligence Steel reduced from 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1, 2, 3, 4. That's nice. Arcane Orb mana cost is increased by a lot. Astral Imprisonment cast range has been reduced. It's still the same at max level, but it's been drastically reduced. So he's going to hurt a lot more in the early game. It's going to be harder for him to get off of his feet and just fucking roll over you. Buff to PA. Stifling Dagger now does physical damage at 60 plus a certain percentage of your attack damage, so there's kind of a reason to level that now to max that at the beginning. Okay, Supernova increases, or Scepter increases the number of attacks needed to destroy the Nova. Illusory Orb speed is increased by 1. What a huge buff to Puck! Nether Ward now treats illusions as creeps for hit count calculation. Static Link break distance increased by 100. Okay, so that's a pretty good buff to Razor. Added to Captain's mode is Riki. Blink Strike damage increased. It scales up pretty high now. Tricks of the Trade cast point has been improved and reduced to scale down to 30. Fade Bolt damage has increased on Rubik 300 at the max level. It's pretty good. And then Null Field has been increased and his turn rate's been increased. I wonder if Dendi will try to take him mid with, you know, it's a pretty good size buff at the end. Maybe this is just helping with the scaling of spells into the late game. But, like, you know, 150 damage at level 2, 2 points into Fade Bolt is nothing to scoff at, so that's pretty good. Sandstorm's channel time is rescaled to an even 50. Just the heroes. Shadow Demon, Disruption Illusion damage increased. 75% at max level, 30% at the base level. It's just the same as before. So it's just going up by 5%. Soulcatcher cooldown has been reduced. It's 10 seconds to the max level. Just, that's okay. It's not like huge, but to be able to amplify damage on targets a little bit more. It's a really slight uptick to Shadow Demon. Shadow Fiend, Requiem of Souls damage lines travel distance has been rescaled, and so they're just gonna travel 1,000. Requiem of Souls starting width increased just to straight 125. So with the range reduction comes a little bit of a better there. End width has been rescaled to just 425, so not necessarily the max. That's pretty good. Scepter now also increases Necromastery max souls. Maybe we see some Shadow Fiend. Maybe we see, like, I would love to see, like, support Alchemist, because I've been looking at how gold rubber bands and things like that, and if Alchemist isn't worth much so long as if he can give away that net worth, like when you give away the scepter when you apply it to somebody. So you buy a few support items and then you start building scepter for your team, like if you get like a Midas and you start like farming the jungle and stuff like that and try to farm scepters for your team, and also, you know, assist and fight. But if you can do that and you, like, you're not at worth as much to the other team, you're not like a bajillion net worth ahead unless they kill you right there as you're about to finish the scepter, but then you can help increase, you know, teams, like a star player in your team's worth, like the Shadow Fiend there. You give him those stats and that ability to gain more souls, making him just that much more powerful. I think it's a concept that I'd really like to see somebody run. Mass Serpent Ward Splash mechanic has been reworked. Now it deals 75% splash damage and a 175 AoE. That's pretty cool. Kind of makes it a little bit more teamfight friendly instead of just like targeting one person down. Last Word doesn't slow. Arcane Curse base damage reduced. Slows movement speed. Arcane Curse does, and then its cooldown has been increased. And then Glaives of Wisdom damage has been rescaled. It's going to go up a little bit. It's going to be better in the early game and then worse in the late game. Shrapnel damage has been increased. Mystic Flare Scepter duration has been increased from 2.4 to 12 seconds. My god. And the cooldown for the Scepter has been reduced to 5 seconds. So, like, it's increased, excuse me. So it's now 5-second cooldown instead of a 0-second cooldown. That's frightening with a Scepter to have a 0-second cooldown on Skywrath. That's absurd. But having it last 12 seconds with a Scepter, that's pretty crazy. I think that kind of makes it worth it to have like the Scepter on Skywrath, because like into a black hole, a good black hole, like that's a pretty team fight turning. But like being able to just drop a 12-second Mystic Flare with the same damage per second, that's, if there's in there for that many seconds, like you're just dead. Spectral Dagger slow no longer goes through spell immunity. Haunt cooldown has been increased. And then Haunt illusions are no longer unstunnable. And the agility growth has been reduced. Okay, so this is an expected nerf to Spectre. She's no longer as good at doing the rubber band gold thing where it's like, it doesn't matter how far I get behind in lane in the early game, I'll just haunt in, get a kill, and boom, I'm up a bajillion gold. They added a Scepter to the Storm Spirit, causes Electric Vortex 5 AoE ability around your hero. That makes him a much better initiator with the Scepter. Again, I'm really hoping to see this like Alchemist Ag Scepter. Like it kind of looks like they're really trying to push it. But that kind of almost makes him like, if he can get in really close. I know 475 is not a lot of range, but it's almost kind of like a really small Dream Coil. You just kind of like bolt in and drop it, and they're all like, oh shit. And it kind of helps set up for a lot of things like a vacuum wall or a Dream Coil or like something else, making sure people are all in one place or that they're all moving to one location. It could even, if timed right, because Electric Vortex is so slow, you could like maybe get everybody inside like an Ice Shards or like a Meatball or something. Base movement speed, shit, my mouse is freaking out, has been reduced on Sven by about 5. Not a huge deal. Base armor's been increased on Terrorblade by 3. He's now, I think, the most armored fucking hero in the game, and he might have, like, the highest agility gain as well. So we'll see what becomes of Terrorblade. Hi, guys. Enemy, I know BSJ likes Terrorblade, so... Base armor being increased by 3. That's not a huge change, but I mean, it makes him slightly better in the early game because I know he's really squishy. But again, you meet diminishing returns on your effective HP by increasing your armor. So we'll see. Whirling Death debuff duration is increased on Timber, and then the reactive armor regen. Armor per stack is increased. And it's going to scale upwards. Not by much. We'll see if there have been enough things that have happened to bring Timbersaw back. But, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think so. Tinker. Rearm mana cost has been reduced. Rearm can no longer refresh Pipe of Insight. Okay, because it has the unlimited stack, I guess. So that base intelligence increased from 27 to 30. Not a huge deal, just a little bit better in the early game. I don't really know if this can bring back Tinker or not. I don't think so. Nature's Guise, tree search radius has been reduced, so it's a little bit harder for him to go invis. Search Grace. Okay, so you can't like cast it and then run to the trees. It's a little harder to do that. Your movement speed is going to scale upwards, so it kind of evens itself out. And then Leech Seed's cooldown has been reduced. Kind of makes him a little bit better in the early game there with, or kind of scale. It rewards you for putting more points in Leech Seed. Whirling Axe's cooldown has been reduced at the highest level, and then Fervor max stack is increased from 6 to 7. I don't think that's enough to bring Troll Warlord back. Walrus Kick cooldown has been reduced on Tusk. Walrus Kick damage is increased. Those are all Scepter changes. I don't really see a lot of people getting Scepter on Tusk. Tombstone now treats illusions as creeps for hit count calculation. So Undying, while strong against illusion heroes, is a little bit weaker now. He's even stronger against illusion heroes because maybe they deal like half a hit or something like that. Magic Missile stun has been rescaled, so it's going to be a little bit weaker in the early game, a little bit better in the late game. Whoa! Huh. Viper poison attack is no longer an attack modifier. Okay. I want to play lots of Viper. I think that could be fun. I'm gonna test some of this. Gravekeeper's Cloak recharge time reduced from 4 to 3 seconds. Gravekeeper's Cloak minimum damage threshold has been increased from 2 to 15. And then the Stoneform stun delay has been reduced. Shadow Word cast range has been increased from a solid 500, and it's going to scale up. It's kind of okay. Fatal Bond's cooldown has been reduced, and then Flaming Fist damage changed from 40% chance to 100. Okay. I like that. It's a bit of a buff to the golems. Time-lapse now disjoints projectiles. Sweet. Time-lapse scepter cooldown reduced. And then Weaver now loses unit collision immediately when casting Shikuchi rather than after fading. Awesome. That helps Weaver get away a lot better. Causes Arctic Burn to be a toggle and drains 40 mana per second. Activate same as the current. There is a limit on number of attacks per target. Okay, so that kind of... See, the thing about it, though, is that, like, Arctic Burn was always such a sweet early game ability. That ability to put massive slow and deal percentage HP damage. We'll see how the Scepter works out. You'd have to get, like, a fast Scepter, I think, or... I don't know. It helps with ganks and things like that, but I don't think that it's necessarily gonna... I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a great Scepter upgrade. Mortal Strike now does a critical hit for double the value when attacking non-heroes. Does that mean Wraith King could, like... I can get, like, solo Roche? Crit and lifesteal, and then you could Roche really early with Wraith King. Or like maybe as soon as you hit level 6, and then you could run in there and immediately have essentially 3 lives. Static field damage reduction. Whoa. Going down by 1%. Static field no longer disables Blink Dagger. Fuck. And Thunder God's Wrath damage has been reduced by a fair amount. That's kind of harsh treatment for the Zeus there. Static field no longer disabling Blink. Like, okay, yes, that's kind of good, but at the same time, it kind of sucks. I've abused this. It's nice to be able to get, it enables him to disable a whole team with like one ability. Disabling those blinks, and it's got such a long range on the static on arc lightning. That's it. I think Zeus will cease being relevant. Not that he hasn't kind of been shifting that way, but I think he's done for a little bit. So yeah, that's a lot of shit to take in. I'm gonna try some of this out on the test client. Actually drop it. Let's drop myself in right there into this. And oh shit, I can't start this Steam client. No. I'll put it in the video. I'm going to go try it out right now. I'll post to Twitter, twitter.com/RafiDota. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/RafiDota. If you like this video, subscribe, comment, like, everything else. If you hated this video, still comment, tell me what I could do better, tell me where I need work. I'm always looking to improve. So thanks for sticking around for this long. I hope you liked what you heard. And, subscribe if you're interested in more videos. Stay tuned for more updates. Thanks for watching, guys.